I grew up in a rural part of America where farming was a way of life. Summers were long, hot, and quiet. Cornfields stretched for miles, and forests grew thick at the edges of farmland. This story happened to a farmer named Ethan Miller. Ethan was a simple man in his early 40s. He lived alone on a small farm near a forest outside a town called Redwood Plains. He had lived there his whole life and knew the land better than anyone else. That summer was especially hot. One evening, after finishing his work, Ethan decided to walk through the forest behind his farm. It was something he often did to clear his head. The forest was usually calm, filled with birds and the sound of leaves moving in the wind. But that day felt different. The air was heavy, too quiet. As Ethan walked deeper into the forest, he noticed that the usual sounds were gone. No birds, no insects, just silence. He told himself it was nothing and kept walking. After a few minutes, he felt like he was being watched. Ethan stopped and looked around. Tall trees surrounded him. Sunlight barely reached the ground. Everything looked normal, but the feeling didn't go away. Then he heard footsteps. They were slow and uneven, like someone was walking without care. Ethan turned around, expecting to see another farmer or maybe a hunter. There was no one there. He continued walking, his heart beating faster now. The path ahead felt longer than usual. The forest seemed thicker, darker. Suddenly, he noticed something strange on the ground. Footprints. They were not animal tracks. They were too large and shaped like human feet, but they were far too deep, as if whoever made them was extremely heavy. Ethan followed them for a short distance before realizing something disturbing. The footprints were leading behind him. He spun around. The forest was empty. Trying to stay calm, Ethan decided to head back home. But as he turned, he realized the path he came from looked different. Trees that weren't there before blocked the way. The forest felt unfamiliar, like it had changed. That's when he heard a voice. It was soft, almost calm. "Why are you here?" Ethan froze. The voice didn't come from any direction. It felt like it came from everywhere at once. He tried to speak, but his mouth was dry. After a moment, he managed to say that he was just walking home. There was a long pause. Then the voice spoke again. "You were not invited." The temperature dropped suddenly. Ethan could see his breath, even though it was the middle of summer. He started running. Branches scratched his arms, roots tripped his feet. The forest felt endless. Then he fell. As Ethan pushed himself up, he saw it. Standing between the trees was a tall figure. It looked human, but wrong. Its arms were too long. Its head tilted at an unnatural angle. Its skin looked pale, almost gray. It had no clear face, just a smooth surface where eyes and mouth should be. Ethan couldn't move. The figure stepped closer. The ground shook slightly with each step. "You walk where you do not belong," the voice said again, this time louder. Ethan felt a sharp pain in his head, like pressure building inside his skull. Memories flashed in his mind. Faces, places, things he had forgotten. Then everything went black. When Ethan woke up, he was lying at the edge of the forest near his farm. The sun was setting. Hours had passed. He struggled to stand and noticed something carved into the dirt beside him. A symbol. He didn't understand it, but looking at it made his stomach turn. Ethan went home and locked every door and window. That night, he didn't sleep. In the days that followed, strange things began happening on the farm. Crops wilted overnight. Animals refused to go near the forest. His dog would bark at empty spaces and then hide. Ethan started having dreams. In them, the faceless figure stood at the edge of his bed, watching. One morning, Ethan found the same symbol carved into the wood of his barn, then on his front door, then inside his house. He contacted the local sheriff, but there was no evidence of anyone trespassing. No footprints, no signs of forced entry. Weeks later, Ethan sold the farm and moved away. But even now, years later, he says the forest still follows him. Sometimes, when he walks outside at night, he smells the damp earth of Redwood Plains. And sometimes, he hears that calm voice again, asking him why he came back. If this story gave you chills, make sure you subscribe to The Haunted Echo. We share realistic horror stories that feel too real to forget. And remember, some places don't want to be explored.